Fresh, let's go to our number 17 team in the country. That is the
You
Ole
mean
Miss,
18?
or I'm sorry, 18. Sorry. Ooh, I skipped a team here. I'm looking ahead already. I have my pen on our list here. The Ole Miss Running Rebels, they are number 18, and they are led by an absolute beast of a running back, Quashad Judkins, All-American on our end here. 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns on the season. This dude is absolutely ridiculous. He had another receiving touchdown there. You take a look at Ole Miss's schedule. It's not easy. Not easy being in that SEC West, but either this team is going to make a lot of noise or they're just going to be, what do you say, a dog fart in the wind. And I don't know what your expression here is, Fresh. This could either be one of those teams that we really talk about, man, early on, this is really, really going to be a good program, or they're just going to be, oof, that's rough.
Well, I mean, I think first off, Judkins is all I have down on my notes is stud running back because that's
Right.
exactly what he is. And in the Lane Train's offense, it doesn't matter if you're the running back, the slot receiver, the quarterback, you're going to touch the football and you're going to be explosive. The biggest, who's the quarterback? Are they going to run all three out there? You got Spencer Sanders come from Oklahoma State, who had a pretty good career there. Walker Howard is a big-time recruit at LSU, now coming over here to Ole Miss. And then you have Jackson Dart. I personally think this is a indictment on Jackson Dart. You don't bring in an experienced veteran quarterback and a five-star transfer recruit after 1 year at LSU if you're not basically saying, I need more from you. You had a good year last year, but I need more from you. What are you going to do for me, Jackson? It's a big statement there from Lane. He is unorthodox, but he's all about offense and puts him in position to succeed. So watching that develop, there might be weeks where we see all three quarterbacks just rotate in here and there. Like one gets 60% of snaps, the other gets 40, and then the next week two other quarterbacks play. They might throw it all over the place, just being as wild and as crazy as they possibly can, because in the end, they need to win football games. It's not about stats at this point. I think Lane needs to actually win with Ole Miss. Receiver-wise, they should have no issues. They just got in UTSA transfer Zachary Franklin, big-time player, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons there. They also brought in Trey Harris from Louisiana Tech. They also have Jordan Watkins and Dayton Wade returning. So the wide receivers, the running backs, they're going to be putting up points. They're going to be putting up yards. They're going to be all over the field making plays for the quarterback, whoever that might be. I think that is another big win. The other thing we've seen there at Ole Miss, they still struggle with defense. They gave up 370 yards a game last year, which was 8th in the SEC. Gave up 24 points a game, which was 7th in the SEC. 161 yards rushing game, 8th in the SEC. Their defense did force 20 turnovers, but they gave up tons of yards. So when are they going to find that athletes on defense start getting stops? When are they going to put a scheme together to start getting stops? The offense can only score so much. We saw what happened in the bowl game. Maybe they all chalked it up and it was a walkthrough and they really didn't care, but they got thoroughly destroyed by Texas Tech. Is that the Ole Miss team we're going to see this year, or are they going to just use that one as a throwaway and moving forward? I'm interested to see that one because last year when you're -1 in the turnover differential, if you're not stopping anybody, you're not winning the turnover battles, you're going to start losing more games than you win. And that's going to be a big problem on Lane Train where you put all the flash up there, but eventually, if you're getting paid tons of money, you got to start looking at the rate of return. Their schedule does them no favors. They might have 3 top 8 teams, preseason top 8 on their schedule with Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. That's a hefty load. They could finish 9-3 and have 3 blowout losses or close losses to those 3 teams. It still could be a sad season. That actually might be a winning season for them. You never know. But they're already stacked against them, and that means they have to show up in every other one of those football games because there's 3 games that they're probably not going to win, or they're going to be in major dogfights when they do get to those Saturday afternoons. The 3-week stretch, though, of Bama, LSU, Arkansas, September 23rd to October 7th, will make or break this football team because you have Bama and LSU back-to-back weeks. We saw last year, we mentioned it in the preseason, them going to Baton Rouge, 7-0, they're probably going to be guaranteed 7-0 and go in there, and that would really be a test of what the football team happened. They walked into Baton Rouge, and they got the snot kicked out of them, and the team kind of stumbled from there and lost their way. This is a very similar situation. They had their tough games early, though. They might have a nice little stretch run down the back end of the season, but that first 3 games there in the first 5 weeks, they might be 2-3, or they might be 3-2, 4-1, however you want to play it out. That's how we're going to build this football team, where they're at after that early stretch. If they get the snot kicked out of them, will the team just quit? Well, if they show up and play in those football games, will they actually be able to sustain and be able to bounce back and show they're actually truly worth their merit? This is going to fall a lot on Lane. He was given a lot of money to come to Ole Miss to make him a program. He's been ranked high. He got a New Year's Six bowl game and a Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago. Now the Ole Miss fans, they want to be known for more than just the Grove. They want to actually start winning football games consistently and being a force in the SEC. Other programs can turn around pretty quick. It's up to you now. You brought in the recruits. You've complained about NIL money. You've got your collective going. Where do you show up? This might be his entire career. We've talked about legacy with Mac Brown. This might be his legacy as well. If he's just a good offensive coach and should go back being an OC for somebody else, or can he actually be a head coach and organize a program and be consistent with it? He didn't do it at USC. He didn't do it at Tennessee. He had success at FAU for a couple of years where expectations were low. But can he be a head coach? Can he think on both sides of the ball? Can he get everyone to play on the same page? Because you can get talent to go to Ole Miss. You can get talent to go to Mississippi State. You can get talent to go to Arkansas. Can these programs actually start winning? And that's going to come down to him as the head coach. Can you organize the effort to move them forward? He hasn't beaten Nick Saban either. That's another thing. He was brought there to be the former offensive coordinator. Nick, can he beat Nick Saban? He hasn't done it. Could this year be the year? On paper, it kind of looks like Alabama might be on a down year. We don't really know if we can get the quarterback spot. They've lost a lot of talent. Can you take your team and go and beat Alabama or beat LSU or beat Georgia? One of those would be huge for the program. If you win multiple of those three, you are in a great shape and you actually are truly ascending. Ole Miss has never been at the SEC title game, by the way. That'd be a huge accomplishment if they can ever make it to Atlanta. I think the ceiling for this football team, I mentioned earlier, 9-3. Those 3 games against the top 8 teams going to be pretty tough, going to require a full team effort. But this team could bottom out and be 6-6. It's going to require a full team effort. Arkansas, Auburn, A&M, and Mississippi State are must-wins, in my opinion. If you lose one of any of those 4 games, this team is done because you already have basically 3 losses on your schedule. You've got to find a way to win every single one of those other games that are winnable. And I use quote-unquote, air quote, winnable football games. You went 2-2 against them last year, and it cost you. You've got to go 4-0 against those teams this year to have any kind of chance of really being successful and moving forward and supplanting a consistent program there in Oxford.
Yeah, Fresh, this is oof. Offensively, they're exciting. Like, there's so many weapons over there on the offensive end, especially with Franklin now on board over there for Ole Miss here. And Judkins is just a monster, man. Like, this team reminds me of older Wisconsin teams a little bit, only without the defense. This is going to be a power run team, I think, to start off the year, and then kind of learn to throw the ball around as the year goes on here. But I need to see something, especially out of the back half of the secondary there. Finley is gone there for them, but you take a look at Prince is back and Young is back out there in that secondary. I think Finley was the one that was gone. Yeah, Finley's gone as I'm checking my notes here. But you take a look at this. You're talking to me, Tulane, going to throw the ball around. Alabama, going to throw the ball around. But they're also going to pound it down your throat. LSU with Daniels, they're going to throw the ball around. Arkansas took them to the woodshed last year and gashed them all over the place. You're going to need some payback for that. Going into Auburn, Hugh Freeze is going to be looking for that marquee win this year. Going into Georgia, by the time November 11th rolls around and that game against the Bulldogs rolls into Athens, this team could be a shell of its former self. This team could be a absolute joke, and it could be only about Judkins and Lane Kiffin wishing the rumors were true that he was taking the Auburn job and not staying there at Ole Miss. I don't know here, Fresh. If I'm grading this team offensively, I think they're good enough to pull off one of the upsets between Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. I think offensively they have the firepower to do that. Defensively, I'm worried that they're not going to stop anybody. I really am worried about that they're not going to stop anyone. I'm going to say this, Fresh. They're going to be my Auburn team this year. I'm saying this team misses a bowl game I'm saying their floor is, I'm going to go 5 wins. This team could really bottom out and lose some inexcusable games. You got ULM, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Tulane, and Mercer. There's your 5 wins. And it's reasonable that you would lose everything else there. So this could get scary for them. I'm hoping Ole Miss doesn't get that bad to them. I could say, like, if offensively this team clicks, and 9 wins. I go 5 to 9 win stretch there. So
It's amazing how the past 3 teams we've all mentioned are literally mirror images of each other.
right,
Offensive, I mean, to quote Billy Bob from Varsity Blues, they're on offense, they're 10s. On defense, they're 0s.
I hope people tan. I hope people get that reference somewhere. If not, guys, tan,
10.
tan. If you guys, if you have not gone and seen the movie Varsity Blues, I watched it like a month or 2 back ago. It was on late at night
Still
when
a
I couldn't
classic.
sleep. It's funny. It hasn't aged the best, but it's still pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.